Oh, she's back. There she is.
All right. My apologies, guys. I don't know what happened.
Yeah.
My computer decided to need a reboot at 8:57, and then it wouldn't connect to the internet. So I was trying my iPad, but that was not successful either. But here I am, and I apologize for taking a minute. But we'll go ahead and hop right into it. Welcome to the team call, everyone. Team Phoenix call. We are very fortunate to have a guest speaker tonight. Any announcements that I think are important to mention? Not really, except for, end of the month is here. So definitely hope you guys are, crushing your goals right now. If you're, not where you want to be by the end of this month, that you're hopping off this call and, hustling to the end of the month. Also, for those of you who are participating in our little Secret Santa exchange, be looking out for your emails. My assistant is matching up and she's emailing from my account. So don't reply to me because I'm participating. She left her email address if you have any questions, but it's pretty clear. But I want to do it with you guys. So, but I obviously have to be removed from the mashup. So that's going to be fun. But because I took a lot of your time already, I don't want to talk too much, and I want to hand this over to Josh. But for those of you who are have not had the honor of hearing from Josh, have not been in any of his training groups. He is a push coach on the John Maxwell team, and he has helped a lot of coaches, a lot of Beachbody coaches, a lot of top 10 coaches, superstar coaches, some of the most successful coaches in the network he has worked with. And he also leads a lot of really awesome trainings that many of you have benefited from. He has these monthly groups that in different themes or different, I guess, topics, leadership, just general push groups. And I'm sure he has more coming. So I hope he shares anything that he has coming up with you guys after the call. But the call tonight, we're calling it the test of time, and I'll let Josh, it'll explain itself, it'll speak for itself. But feel free to chat over here in the chat bar. I'm sure Josh, he'll be keeping an eye on it. I will too. Ask questions if you need to. But yeah, thank you so much, Josh. I have had the pleasure of working with Josh. And he really, really helped me gain perspective. As a coach who did not have a coach, I really needed somebody like him in my life to help me, because it's really lonely when you don't feel like you have that third party, that objective person to kind of tell you your BS is BS. So he was that for me, and I've really appreciated a lot of what I gained working with him. So we're excited to hear from you, Josh. Thank you so much for taking the time out of your night to speak to us, and I'll go ahead and let you take the floor.
You're more than welcome. Thanks for having me, Meg. I appreciate it so much. Meg is one of my best students of all time. It's funny. She says she needs someone to call her out on her BS, but her BS is very, very limited. It's not very often that Meg comes with BS. She's a hustler and she's a worker, and she leads by example. And I have super mad respect for her and everything she's done, and super appreciative of the value she's added back. She recorded an incredible module for my Art of Recruiting training that you guys, the free group stuff that you guys have just always had access to. You have no idea how fortunate you are to have Meg as an upline and have those kind of resources available to you for free. Because people in the Art of Recruiting, every single month, I always ask, what was your favorite thing? What was the thing that helped you the most? And Meg's free group video is always one of the top things that people mention. It's incredible. And so I appreciate her. I appreciate you guys for spending your, what is this, Tuesday night? Yeah. Tuesday night with me. I never know what night of the week it is. Like who keeps up with the time these days? But I'm so excited to be here. As Meg said, I'm a push coach, which is kind of a combination of a life coach and something that I made up because I got sick of life coaching people and talking about feelings. I like to kind of say, let's adjust this a little bit. I like to say that I'm kind of like Shaun T for your business. Shaun T, when you're working out, you're like dying, you're sweating, if you're like me, you got like cotton mouth, you can hardly breathe, you're like spitting up blood, you're like cussing at random figures in your living room, you don't know what the heck's happening, and Shaun T is yelling and screaming at you, telling you can keep going. And so that's what I like to do, is I like to take people that are breathing heavy and screaming and yelling and cussing and remind you that you can keep going. So tonight we want to talk about the test of time. So I want to talk to you a little bit about, I know some of you have heard this story, but I'm just not going, I'm determined to tell this story more than I've ever told it before. In fact, my theme, I like to come up with my theme and my goals for the year an entire month before January. I don't like to wait till January, because if I wait till January, that means I'm not starting until sometime in January. And I personally like to get started on my new year a month early. That way, when the new year happens, I've already got momentum rolling. I've already made like the mental and emotional adjustment, because if you haven't noticed, when you set a new goal, everything goes earmuffs. If you've got kids around, just a warning, everything goes to shit. Everything. The second you say out of your mouth out loud that you've got something new that you want to crush and something new that you want to conquer, I promise you, your car will break down, your house will catch on fire, every kid in the house will all of a sudden get the flu and throw up all over your house. The IRS will send you some type of friendly reminder. Everything in the world happens. In fact, last night I was literally like in my bed, like crying, like about everything that's going wrong in my life. And then I just realized, oh yeah, I just set my goals like a couple of days ago and started Body Beast round 1 all over again. And there's just something about starting something new that our emotions don't like. Our emotions don't like it at all. I'm sure Meg experienced that with the first week of the 80-day obsession. Just everything in you is just screaming, I hate life. I hate everything in the world. And my theme, I said all that to say, my theme for 2018 is stay pissed. And the reason I have this theme is it actually comes from a quote from Tom Petty. Tom Petty said that so many people create this life of fortune and fame, and then they get too comfortable and they start making bad music. And our aim is to stay pissed off. One of the reasons Tom Petty was able to record good music his entire life was because he just stayed pissed. Now, I know that sounds like kind of like negative and kind of contradictory to like this whole positive mentality, positive mindset. But when I think back to my first year when I started my business because I was pissed, I was sick and tired of working so freaking hard at life and seeing such little return. I was so sick and tired of being behind on my bills. I was so sick and tired of telling my kids no, not because I was disciplining them, but because I didn't have the money or the freedom to do the thing that they wanted to do. I was sick and tired of every single month laying out all the bills on the table and deciding which ones we could afford to not pay without it getting cut off. I was sick and tired of not being able to afford our car payment. I was sick and tired of having a random stranger drive by our house and take pictures because we were so far behind on the mortgage that the mortgage company had people. I don't know if any of you have ever experienced this, but if you get really far behind on your mortgage, they drive by and take pictures. Basically, they want to make sure you haven't abandoned the lot. Because a lot of times when people get really far behind on their mortgage, they just peace out and just disappear and hope that the mortgage company never catches up with them. So they want to make sure someone was still living there. They want to make sure we hadn't trashed the place or let it go to crap. I was sick and tired of it. I was sick and tired of the life that I had created, and I wanted to do something to change it. And I'll never forget in year 1, when I first signed up for the John Maxwell team, I read John Maxwell's book called Sometimes You Win, Sometimes You Learn. If you are someone who struggles with a fear of failure, I highly, highly, highly recommend this book. And in this book, he basically says that the only way to learn is to fail. And that we have to change our mindset about what failure really is, because we see failure as losing. Right? Because we grow up in a Western culture mentality, or some of you might have some UK people on the call. You probably get it from soccer. And in the Western culture, even football, basketball, whatever it is, if you don't win the championship, if you don't get the big fat ring, you're a loser. In fact, growing up, we had these, some of you may not be as old as me. That's okay. We had these no fear t-shirts. I don't know if anybody remembers those. And one of the most popular ones was second place is the first loser. Second place is the first loser. We have this mentality as humans that if you don't win it all, you suck, you lost, you're a failure, and everything you did was for nothing. And one of the biggest reasons we struggle with going all in on our business is because we're afraid we won't see the kind of success that we really want to see. And if we don't, we failed and everything was for nothing. And we're so afraid. Here's what's crazy. If we just get out of our own head for a minute and think about this logically, we are so afraid to come up short in the fear that that means we lost and wasted all of this time, all of this energy, all of this money, that instead we sit on our butt and do nothing. And guess what we do? We lose our time, we lose our energy, we lose our money. And the whole point of the book is that the only way to lose is to do nothing. Because if you're moving forward, even if you fail, you still get to learn from the experience. If you do nothing, guess what? You don't move forward, you don't learn. That's really when you lose. In fact, Michael Jordan has a quote that I absolutely love, and I'm going to butcher it because I can't remember the exact number. But basically, I think they even made like this cool little YouTube video out of it where Michael Jordan, if you don't know who that is, he's the greatest basketball player to ever live, okay? He's my homeboy. I'm going to know him one day. Basically, he's known for winning 6 championships, which is something that no other basketball player has done other than Bill Russell, who was not the MVP every year the way Michael Jordan was. Michael Jordan was the best player in the league all 6 times that he won a ring. And Michael Jordan says, you may have seen the 6 rings that I won. You may have seen all of the game-winning shots that I made, but I missed. And then he goes through all of the stats of all of the times he lost the game. All of the times he took the last shot and missed. And the times that he took the last shot and missed were like 10 times for every 1 time that he took the last shot and they won. And the whole point was, but I never failed. I just found that many different ways that didn't work. And so I set out in my first year, this was kind of crazy. I've never heard anyone say this before. I set out in my first year, I said, here's the thing. I suck so bad, and I know I suck. I know nothing about business. I know nothing about what I'm about to do. I suck so bad that if the only way to learn is to fail, then I better get started on failing. Like I need to get a whole bunch of failing under my belt if that's what it takes to learn. My first year in business, my number one goal was fail as many times as you possibly can so that you can learn the lessons and get it over with so that we can move on and actually do some stuff right. It was not to go elite my first year. It was not to go top 10 my first year. It was not to make my first 6 figures, whatever. My goal was simply to learn as much as I possibly could. And the only way I could learn was to fail. It was kind of like the whole concept of go for no. Anybody ever read the book Go for No? Anybody ever read that? Okay, well, you should read it because it's incredible. I've honestly never read it. I just heard the title and was like, I've already lived that. I'm not even going to read that book. I'm already living that book. The whole philosophy of the book is instead of getting disappointed at all the no's, if you understand that it takes so many no's to get a yes, then make a game out of getting as many no's as you can, knowing that yeses will come along. That was my philosophy that first year. If it takes X amount of failures to equal a win, then I'm going to just fail as many times as I can so that those wins will come along. And so that's what I did. And guys, let me tell you, no one in the history of this planet has ever been so good at failing as me. I mean, when I set a goal, I really crush it. I set a goal to fail as often as I could. And I'm telling you guys, I was a 100% complete failure for the entire first year of my business. I made $500 in my first 12 months. Do you know how bad that is? That's the equivalent of like selling 2 challenge packs in 12 months. I didn't even hit Success Club for the year. Like, you guys feel bad if you don't hit Success Club for the month. I didn't hit Success Club for the year. I promise you there was no John Maxwell team leaderboards that I was a part of. We don't have leaderboards, but if we did, I wouldn't be on it, I promise. Okay? So my point is that it took time. It took a whole lot of time. And what got me through it was the belief, not of what I was capable of right now, not what I was performing at right now, not anything that I had in my current possession. What got me through was the belief of what could become eventually if I stuck with it. I have found that one of the number one problems people have in this business is comparing their journey to someone else's journey. To think, yeah, but I've been doing the business for 2 years. And this person over here has been doing the business for 2 years, so I should have the same kind of success they've had. And that is not true. In fact, that is probably the most illogical thought you could ever possibly have. Let me explain why. Your day one is not your day one. Because what you're doing is comparing your day one as you signed up as a Beachbody coach to someone else's day one that they signed up for a Beachbody coach. Let me tell you what's wrong with that. Every single one of you had 20 years, 30 years, 40 years, 50 years of life experience before your day one. You were raised by different parents with completely different sets of belief, completely different habits, completely different life experiences, completely different relationship experiences, completely different support systems, completely different possible traumatic experiences that you may have accumulated along the way, completely different personality types, completely different strengths, completely different. Do you get the point? The point is, there is probably 250,000 factors. And the only factor you're comparing is that you started on the same day, which is actually the least important factor of the entire equation. We are all completely different humans. Every single one of us. Completely different. Let me give you just a couple quick examples to help you understand how ridiculous it is to think that day one and day one are the same. We have one person, some of you know my personality types. We have one person who is a peacock. If you're a peacock, you're like me. We love the spotlight. Gosh, we love to talk. We love to be the one that makes everyone laugh. We love to make everyone's day brighter. We love to take pictures of ourselves. We absolutely love it. So our favorite part of the day is when someone pulls out a picture. And our second favorite part of the day is when they show us the picture so we can find out how good we looked in the picture. That sounded incredibly arrogant. I'm just being silly, okay? But my point is, we spent our entire life seeking out the spotlight. Our entire life. So when we decide to start a business on social media, it is so easy for us to take pictures of ourselves, to post vulnerable and emotional stuff. Let's face it, we're all us peacocks. They're a bunch of vulnerable, emotional whacks anyway. So it's like, whatever, we're just talking about real life. It's just that now instead of sharing our drama, we're talking about a challenge group or whatever that looks like. We are already in the spotlight. The only thing we did was changed our message. That's it. All eyes were already on us. Now, take the golden retriever, who is a little bit more what we would usually consider shy, what we would usually say is bashful. Golden retrievers hate those words. You're like, I'm not shy or bashful. I'm just quieter. I just don't talk as much as you. I'm just not as annoying as you, Josh. I'm not shy. But take that person who has spent their entire life avoiding the spotlight, avoiding the crowd, trying not to embarrass yourself, trying not to make a fool of yourself, doing everything you can not to be the person in the spotlight. Whereas the peacock, we're like, dude, if I'm going to make a fool of myself, I'm going to do it in front of everyone and get a good laugh out of this. The golden retriever is like, I'm not going to get in front of everyone because I might make a fool of myself, and then everyone will laugh at me. And then you start a business online, and we start saying things like, take lots of pictures of yourselves, put yourself in the spotlight, tell everyone your deepest, darkest secrets, and tell them how horrible of a person you were before you became a coach and how transformed. Tell them about your horrible childhood. Oh, you were abused as a kid? Cool. Talk about it on social media. And it's, okay, that's a little extreme, but you get what I'm saying? And you are someone who's avoided the spotlight your entire life, who now has to learn something that goes against every single grain in you. See how day one is not day one. One more example. We have someone that grew up maybe playing sports their entire life. And from the age of 5, they played 2 or 3 sports. And every single year they were taught discipline. They showed up for practice. If you're like me, I was the coach's kid. We showed up for practice. If we were sick, we showed up for practice. If we whined and complained, we ran extra laps. We showed up for every single practice, for every single game. If I stayed home sick from school, I wasn't allowed to go to practice because my dad wanted to teach me discipline. No, you show up for school and you earn the right to show up for the things you want to do, like sports. And this discipline was taught to me my entire life. You show up for games and you learn that even when your team is behind, you get a pep talk at halftime and you go out in the second half. Even if you know you're going to lose, you work your hardest, you fight, you go after it with everything you have. You have to learn from recovering from all of the losses that you accumulate over the years and show up and practice no matter what. All of this has built up in you discipline, has built up in you wins, has built up in you some leadership. And then you maybe take someone who grew up, who never was involved in any activities, never involved in any type of team sports, never did anything to develop no normal life experiences that developed the competitive side of them. How many of you know sometimes in business, it takes a little bit of a competitive edge? And then all of a sudden you sign up for a business and we say, we want you to push for Success Club. We want you to push for Diamond. We want you to push for Elite. And you're like, I don't even like the word push. Again, notice how day one is not day one. We all are completely different humans with completely different skills, with completely different talents. Now, let me tell you this. Every single one of us is capable of becoming anything we want to become and doing anything we want to do. But just like your health and fitness journey, it takes different time for different people. You would never, ever, ever compare someone in your challenge group that needs to lose 100 pounds to someone that needs to lose 10 pounds. Am I right? Wouldn't that be stupid? Can you imagine messaging someone in your challenge group that needed to lose 100 pounds and be like, hey, what's the problem here? Betsy over here got down to her goal weight in the first 30 days. You didn't. What's your problem? What's going on over here? Person with 100 pounds to lose is going to take a little bit longer. Would you guys agree would you agree? Would you also agree, and I don't mean this in any type of mean way, if there's anyone on the call that needs to lose 100 pounds, this is not being mean in any way, but would you also agree that the person with 100 pounds to lose probably has battled some more serious emotional issues that got them to the place of being 100 pounds overweight? Would you agree? So we're not even just talking about the difference between losing 100 pounds and losing 10 pounds. We are talking about whatever caused this person over time, whatever habits that they have created. We are a slave to our habits, and it takes time to change those habits. And I don't care how many different meal containers you give someone, when someone has some serious habits that they've spent years developing, it doesn't just fall off. It takes a lot of time. It takes a lot of energy. It takes a lot of effort. That's why we have challenge groups, because people need the accountability and they need the support. Our businesses are the same way, guys. When you came into this business, some of you came into this business emotionally and mentally 100 pounds overweight. And I don't mean that in any type of mean way. Some of you came into this business like a freaking champ, just ready to go. Some of you took advantage of all of the tools, all of the resources, all of the accountability. You showed up every single day, and some of you didn't. And that's not to make anybody feel bad for what you have or hadn't done, but it's just to help you understand we're all in totally different places. But I do want to give you the 3 things that make up the formula for how we eventually get what we want. I need you to understand the word eventually. Can we all just say the word eventually? Let's say it out loud all together. Eventually. Super cheese mode right there. And this is actually from a sip of my coffee. Can I get a sip of coffee? I know I shouldn't be drinking coffee at 8:30 at night, but I don't care. Judge me if you want. I don't care. Everyone needs a caffeinated push coach. This is actually from Dave Ramsey's book called Entre Leadership. Okay? 3 things that create momentum. Almost lost my own words there. 3 things that create momentum. Number 1 is consistency. I said it already, are all a slave to our habits. The compound effect says little things done consistently over time equal great results. Now, this is the greatest news you've ever heard if you're doing the right things, and the worst news you've ever heard if you're doing the wrong things. Correct? How many of you know you can have a pint of Ben & Jerry's before bed and you can be just fine as long as you just do it once? Maybe even once a month. I don't encourage it, but maybe it won't affect your results too much. Now do that every single night before bed. My God, in 30 days, you are going to feel like crap. 60 days from now, no offense, you're going to start to look a little bit like crap. 120 days from now, imagine what that compounds into. Now, here's the thing, guys. If you want to become the person you want to become, if you want to get the kind of results you want to get, you have to become a master of consistency. And this is probably the hardest thing in the world, because none of us are consistent by nature when it comes to working the business. Do you know what we are by nature? By nature, we consistently take the easy way out. I was hiking with a buddy several months ago. And to be honest, I didn't grow up doing a lot of outdoor stuff. We were so busy playing sports. We never really went hiking or camping or anything like that. I do like to go like hiking sometimes now, but I'm not like a frequent hiker. I'm not one of those outdoorsy people that's got like the Subaru and all that cool stuff. I wish I was that cool, but I'm not. And we were hiking down a mountain at Buffalo River in Arkansas. And I was just noticing all of these like beautiful, like, you know how like nature kind of creates its own steps down the mountain? I was like, this is just the coolest thing. And there's like all these like trails. I was like, where did these trails that we're hiking, where did these even come from? Maybe I'm stupid, but for some reason I just like was like, how does this happen? Like, why do we have these cool trails to just go hiking down a mountain? Was there just like some really friendly guy that was like, hey, we need to have trails, so I'm just going to like go through as a pioneer? And my buddy was like, well, the water creates it. I was like, the water? He said, yeah, the water comes down the mountain, and the reason it goes off and around is because water takes the path of least resistance. Nature takes the path of least resistance. We as humans most naturally are wired to take the path of least resistance. Why is it so hard to build a business? Well, to be honest, the things that successful people do are some of the most simple things you've ever heard of in your life. They're just the things that we most naturally resist. because they are not the path of least resistance. Let's be real here. The path of least resistance is to make 2 posts a day on social media, to spend 6 hours a day in either Rona Design or Canva, or I don't know, maybe some of you have Photoshop, probably not. You got Word Swag or PicMonkey. To spend 6 hours a day playing with filters, stars, glitter, unicorns, and all of that jazz to try to perfect your image and your post. And then spend maybe 10 minutes reaching out to people to talk about your next challenge group. Why is that the path of least resistance? Because as long as you are working on that graphic, you feel like you're being productive. You feel like you're such a hard man. I put in 4 hours today. What's Meg talking about? I'm not doing all the things. I spent 4 hours in Word Swag today. I found the perfect font. The perfect font. I mean, come on. It's like, what? There's like 3 or 4 really good fonts that you use over and over. You know you do, and you know which one you're going to use, even though you scroll through the other 35 to hope that maybe you find something new. And you always go back to the one that you really like. For me, it's InstaSwag. I love InstaSwag. It's so good. But you can tell yourself you worked when in all reality, you avoided having to confront your fear, which is talking to people and possibly getting rejected. Nobody likes to get rejected. Am I right? I can speak on team calls for the rest of eternity. And this stat will never change. 90% of you do not do daily invites. Now, if you were all in my training group, this stat would change, but you're not all in my training group. So this stat is going to go on forever. I can get on team call after team call after team call after team call. I've been training Beachbody coaches now for 3 years. I had to really think about that. I've been training Beachbody coaches for 3 years. I've probably spoken on over 300 calls for Beachbody coaches. And I can speak on 3,000 more. And the simple truth will still be 90% of you don't do daily invites. How do I know that? Because statistics don't lie. And most people would rather be one of the statistics than face their fears. That sucks. And I hate it. Because I want you to come away from being a statistic. I want you to stop being who society says you should be. I want you to stop limiting yourself to what society says you can be. I want you to stop listening to your relatives at Thanksgiving dinner who tell you you're stupid because you have this online business, supposedly. Meanwhile, just taking selfies, just laying around the house in your PJs taking selfies. The hell do they know? Your relatives making multi-six figures? Probably not. Probably living average lives. No offense to your relatives. But let's be real, they're probably living average lives, making average money, doing average shit, and judging you for trying to do awesome shit. Because that's what people do. And we let them talk us out of greatness because we're not necessarily seeing the results we want to see. And what they're really doing is bringing light to the fears we already had. I had a mastermind call just today. I promise you I'm speaking to a couple people on this call because I had a mastermind call just yesterday. No, it's today. And half the people on the call were struggling from the holidays because they'd just gotten home from being with family. Their whole family judging them for their business. When you do awesome stuff, normal people don't like it. Correct? Especially when the awesome stuff you do just happens to be on social media where everybody can see it. But I personally was committed to doing whatever it was going to take. offending as many people as I had to, letting down, disappointing as many people as I had to. Now, thankfully for me, I'd never really done anything like significant anyways. So nobody was really expecting anything from me, whatever. I just decided I don't care how bad it hurts. It hurts worse to suck. It hurts worse. Come on, guys. Let's be real here. What hurts more? What hurts more? The pain of staying the same or the pain it's going to take to change? Jillian Michaels says that people will change when the pain of the change finally becomes less than the pain of staying the same. Jillian Michaels, that's some good stuff, Jillian. When the pain of change is less than the pain of staying the same. In other words, when you finally realize, dude, it hurts whether I stay or change, it hurts. But I'm finally realizing that staying like this for the rest of my life will actually hurt more than the pain of changing to become what I want to become. So consistency is the number one thing. And most people just never are willing to fight for that consistency. Because I tell you this, everything is fighting against you. Nature itself is fighting against you to try to get you to take the easy way out. And you have to say, I'm awesome. And I'm even going to overcome nature. I'm not going to go down the path of least resistance. I am going to be consistently amazing. I'm going to consistently do the things it takes. And it's not complicated, guys. It's not. I swear to you, it's not as complicated as you want to make it. You want to make it complicated to excuse yourself from having to do it. But at the end of the day, the only thing you do to build this business, only thing you do is be a product of the product. If you're not doing that, start there, because if you ain't doing that, nothing else works. Invite, invite, invite. Notice it says it 3 times, not once a week, literally 3 times, okay? It's telling you this is really freaking important. We're going to say it 3 times. Personal development and recognition. Man, I wish it were more complicated than that. I'd make a lot more money off my training groups if I could convince people that there were 20 things you needed to do instead of 4. But the truth is there's only 4. But the hard part is the emotions you got to fight along the way. How many of you would agree that eating healthy is actually pretty simple? It's actually pretty simple. You eat shit that grows out of the ground. It's like really not that hard, guys. Is it really that hard to not eat mashed potatoes? I mean, to just eat something that like actually exists. Like even if you just eat a baked potato instead of a mashed, is that really that hard? Or is it that it's just emotionally challenging because something in you really, really, really wants whatever those carbs are, whatever those sweets are? Is it really that? Is it any harder to chew broccoli than it is to chew candy? Is it harder? Or is it just more challenging? I promise you, I can chew broccoli. I have teeth that they chew up broccoli just fine. It's just that French fries sometimes sound better, right? So you have to commit to doing what it's going to take. Number 1 is consistency. Number 2 is intensity. Here's the next thing that people struggle with: intensity. This is why we need Shaun T. How many of you have ever gone to the gym and worked out without a Shaun T or an Autumn Calabrese or a Sagi or a Tony or a, gosh dang it, Chris, is that his name? I almost forgot new guy's name. He's awesome. I can't forget his name. I just haven't seen it as many times. How many of you ever tried to work out with one of them without one of them? And you realize, dang, I take like 2-minute breaks in between moves. I thought that workout was only 30 minutes and somehow it took an hour and a half because I was like playing on my phone and I was goofing off. How many of you realize when you work out with someone like Shaun T on the screen yelling and screaming at you, you get more intense, right? We do not naturally bring intensity. It's another thing that goes against it. People all over the world sitting at work all day playing on their phones instead of doing their job. We live in a society that just doesn't value hard work. At the end of the day, people just don't. And intensity is one of the determining factors in how far you can go and on how quick you can get there. You want to say, Josh, I really want to get results faster. Well, then you got to turn up the intensity. If I'm going to work out with Shaun T, instead of maxing out at 15 minutes, I'm going to make myself go harder and longer. I'm not going to max out till 25 minutes. I'm going to get my blood, my heart rate going even higher. Some of you are consistent and you show up every day, but the intensity is like a 2 out of 10. And it needs to be a 10 out of 10. You need to show up for your business ready to freaking fight, like a boxer showing up in the ring. You ever watch a boxer? You ever watch a boxer before the fight? They got their headphones in. They're like dancing around. They're getting themselves jacked up. One of my favorite things to do is put on my favorite music before I go into my message, before I go into my inbox. I put on my favorite music. I get to like dancing. I'm like, all right, I'm ready. I'm like ready to freaking kill. Now, I don't talk to people like in that tone, of course, but I love to get myself amped up and pumped up for what I'm about to do. Before team calls, I do the same thing. Why do you think I got coffee right here? Because I need to bring intensity. Consistency, intensity, and number 3 is time. Time is something we cannot remove from the equation no matter how many times we try. Why is it that we fall for these scams? Not saying that they're all scams, because they're not all scams, but some of them are. This get rich quick, whatever, blah, blah, blah. This the one fix you need for your business that will get you 1,000 leads a day. 1,000 leads a day? What are you, freaking Google? Are you going to like give Google over to me? Is that how I'm going to get 1,000 leads a day? Why do we fall for these stupid things? Because all of us want to eliminate time. Most of you would rather pay $10,000 on a credit card right now to pay for some training that promises you'll get 1,000 leads in the next month than you would pay $200 for a training that teaches you how to work. Just being real here. Just like most of society would rather pay $10,000 for a surgery to have a bag put in their stomach than they would $200 for a challenge pack to learn how to be healthy and lose weight the right way. No offense to anyone if you have a bag in your stomach. I'm just trying to make a point. We as humans are always looking for the quick way out. Do you want the quick way out? Let me tell you, the only way to reduce time is to churn up the consistency and churn up the intensity. If you remove, I want you to pretend that consistency, intensity, and time are 3 knobs that if you set all the way, let's say you set it to 12 o'clock, which would technically be like a 5 out of 10 if it were a volume, right? If you set all 3 to 5, okay, that's the magical formula for seeing success. If you want the time to be churned down, then the other 2 things have to be churned up. Does that make sense? If you say, Josh, I don't have 2 years for this to pay off, that's fine. Be more consistent and more intense, and the time will come down a little bit. But you don't turn the time from 5 to 0. It more turns the time from 5 to like maybe 4 or 3.5. Does that make sense? All 3 things have to be working together. You cannot remove any one of them. And the main problem with people is that they are not willing to be intense consistently enough for enough time. We can stay intense for 30 days. Something about our brain, I don't know what it is. Something about our brain, 3 weeks, I feel like. For 3 weeks, most people can give it their all. And then after 3 weeks, something happened, which is why 21 Day Fix was brilliant. Something after 3 weeks, people just collapse. But successful people find a way to do 3 weeks over and 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 over. Because I believe that successful people found a way to stop worrying so much about how long that time was going to be. John Maxwell says, when I first started, I asked myself, how long will this take? And the longer I went, the more I asked myself, how far can I go? My first 6 months, man, how long is it going to take to get a sale? How long is it going to take to get some clients? And then I finally realized, dude, here's the thing. You're going to do this for the rest of your life. So let's just be as consistent and as intense as we possibly can, and just know that when the time comes, the time comes. Maybe that takes 5 years. Maybe that takes 2 years. I don't know. All I know is that for every day I don't show up, it's another day that I put off success. And that's the mentality I had. I said, Josh, you hate the life you have. And I don't want to make it sound like I hated all of life together. I loved my family. I was a happy person, okay? But I was frustrated with where I was at. And I said, Josh, every single time you don't show up for your business is another day you're stuck in this job. You're stuck in this financial situation. You're stuck in this ditch. And I am not willing to spend one more day than I have to detailing cars. Because I knew that if I let myself take one day off, if I allowed myself to think, you know what, it's okay if I just take a day off. If I allowed myself to think that way, now don't get me wrong, there were some days that I did take off. I'm human. I'm not perfect, okay? But I didn't have a mindset that said, it's okay if I take off. My mindset was, if I allow myself to slip and think it's just okay to take off, once a week ain't a big deal. I knew that even once a week over the span of a year would be 50 days. There's 52 weeks in a year. Now, in my head, I didn't know how long it was going to take. So I was trying to factor for what if it takes 5 years? 50 days times 5 is 250 days. That's almost 9 months. If I took one day off a week, I have now added 9 months longer that I have to detail cars and be miserable. You know what most people's problem is? They're only thinking about the one day that they want to take off, not the 9 months it'll add to their journey. 9 months is a long freaking time to add to your journey, guys. And I would actually dare say it would add even more than that because of how much you would screw with the compound effect. And my guess is if you were okay with taking one day off a week, that there'd be several weeks you'd actually take off 2 days. And occasionally you might even take off 3 days. Before you know it, we've had an entire year on. Guys, you do not have time to waste. I need you for your sake, not for my sake. I don't get nothing from it. I mean, nobody sends me a nice jacket when somebody goes diamond. I don't get to go on a free cruise when my clients go top 10. When Micah and Megan got their superstar bonus from the company, I didn't get shit. I don't get nothing from it. I mean, obviously I charge a lot of money for, I obviously got something, but I don't get any extra benefits when any of you see success. My point is, I don't need you. You need you. I need you to show up because I want it for you. Because nothing makes me happier and makes me more fulfilled than getting messages from people that say, dude, I was in your group a couple months ago. I didn't even really see the results in that 30 days, but fast forward 3 months, I kept at it. I kept doing the things you taught me. And now I'm like blowing my numbers away. And I just wish those messages were more, because I actually get more messages of people that say, hey, when I was in your groups, I was killing it. And I took a couple months off and now I've lost my momentum. I actually get more of those messages. I wish so badly that more people would commit to breaking the statistic, because you were meant for so much more. You were meant to be a freaking champion. You were born to be a rock star. Whether you're a rhino or a peacock or a retriever or owl, I'm telling you, the spotlight is for you. Not because you need it, not because of anything other than the fact that you were born to shine, because you were born to make a difference. There are people all over the world that need your story. They need your voice. They need you, because Megan has a completely different story. She has a completely different voice. They don't relate to her story. They don't relate to her voice. Not to mention, I know you think that they're all following her, but they're not. You may be the only person in their newsfeed that has hope for them today. John Maxwell says leaders are dealers in hope. Every single morning, I have affirmations that I do on my way to the coffee shop. One of the things that I say is I go over my strengths. I go over being charismatic, being strong, being one of the things I say is that I have tenacity. I claw my way to the top, and then I find something else to claw. And I say my people skills. Everywhere I go, I make people feel valuable. I make people feel special. I make people feel loved. I make people feel accepted. I make people feel hope. And something about that word hope, when I say it out loud, there's something in my heart that just, I don't know what it is. You ever have something that just like is really connected? Like when you say it, it's like everything in your heart is just like poured into that word. When I am around people, I want them more than anything. I want them to feel hope. That they can have something better. That they can do something better. That they can be something better. And I want to challenge you to do the same thing. To show up with your posts, with your conversations, with your invites, with your team, with your challenge groups, with everything you do. I want you to be committed to giving people hope. Stop worrying about how much time it's going to take, guys. The time's going to pass either way, right? What if it doesn't work out? Well, what if it doesn't? Then you're screwed anyway, so who cares? Let's just go spread some hope and make some lives better. I try to remind myself, like, what if this doesn't work? Well, if it doesn't work, then it doesn't work. Well, what is it? What if I suck? Well, if I suck, I suck. There's nothing I can do. If you're destined to fail, then you're going to fail anyways. Why not go help some people in the middle of it? Why do we have so much pressure on ourselves to make it happen today? Now, don't get me wrong. I'm all about creating urgency, and I'm all about pushing for things, and I'm all about setting monthly goals and weekly goals. But at the end of the day, I don't allow my monthly or my weekly goals to define my value or my level of success or my hope in the future. They are simply things that I use to push myself to a new level. Maybe I need to talk about that more as a push coach. I push myself to a new level, but that has absolutely nothing to do with whether or not I'm successful or happy or fulfilled. What makes me fulfilled is waking up every day and helping more people. And that's why I must push, because there's more people who need me. There's more people who need my voice. I have a goal in 2018 to train 40,000 people. Why? because that will push me to put out more content, to send out more emails, to do more webinars, to do more calls. It will push me into the action it will take to fulfill my purpose. Do I have a money goal? Yes, I do. Because that money goal will push me to do more calls, to do more emails, to do more messages, to do more of the things that make a difference in the world. Do I need as much money as I put down in my goal? God, no human on the planet needs that much money. But if it pushes me to find more people, to help more people, and gives me the freedom to build a bigger team and employ more people, you better believe I'm going to do it. It would be selfish not to. Don't be selfish. Your family might think you're selfish because you post pictures of yourself all over the internet. I'd say you're selfish if you don't. If you've got a good message to share and you keep your mouth shut, you're selfish. I pretty much think that everyone on the planet that's not building a business on social media is selfish. Like, what are you doing with your life? What are you doing with your life? You obviously have something good that you want to share with the world and you're not sharing it. You're selfish. Maybe that's a little extreme on my part, but hey, I just think that we all have so much value to offer. If we're not sharing it where the most people live, we're selfish. Don't be selfish. Let your light shine, man. Be freaking amazing. And if you need help doing that, if you need help staying consistent, if you need help with intensity, if you need help sticking it in for the time, that is why I launched, shameless plug here at the end, that is why I launched the Push Life community. Because so many messages of people pushing for 30 days and then peacing out. And then realizing 60 days down the road that they pieced out and now they're hurting. And realizing if I could just stick with it over and over and over. The Push Life community is all about an ongoing push. Every single month, month after month after month, it's a subscription. You can cancel at any time if you hate it, but I promise you won't. Because every single month I do one live teaching call. I do a hot seat call, which is basically we pick people out of the community and I do a live coaching session with them that everyone gets to watch. We do a live Q&A session where you can hop on and you can ask any questions. You can pick my brain and you can also benefit from listening to everyone else pick my brain. Sometimes you don't realize you have a struggle until someone else brings it up. And you're like, oh yeah, I forgot. I suck at that too. I really needed to hear that, right? I also feature a guest speaker. This last month, we had Crystal Courier speak on using Instagram to grow your business. It was hands down the best Instagram training I've ever heard. I promise you, it blows away anything that anyone else has put out. I was blown away. I was like, oh wow, I didn't know it was going to be this good. Thank you for that. She's coming back next month to do an advanced Instagram training. When you sign up for the Push Life community, you get access to all the live stuff and anything that we have recorded in the past. So even if you come in December, you'll get access to everything we recorded in November. And then on top of that, there's a health bet. There's a health bet and app for everything I do now because I know that the health bet keeps people engaged to the end. So it is $99 a month for the Push Life community with $25 of that going to the health bet. Now, statistically speaking, usually you get twice back what you pay in just based on the statistics of how many people actually participate. So if you put in 25, statistically speaking, can't promise this, usually you'll get back $50, which means if you did your crap, you just got an entire 30-day group with live training, with live calls, with an app, accountability for $50. All you had to do to pay for that was sell one extra challenge pack. How many of you say, dude, if I showed up 30 days out of the month over and over and over and over and over, I'm pretty sure I could make at least an extra $50 a month. Maybe you don't your very first month. Maybe you don't. But if you show up over and over and over, it'll happen. So I want to offer you guys my Black Friday special because obviously you may not have heard of it because the team call isn't till today. So my Black Friday special was, if you buy into the Push Life community, you get all of the Art of Recruiting modules for free. That is like 9 modules from me, and then another 9 modules from top coaches like Megan. Micah Folsom did one on converting challengers and getting coaches started right. Andrea Crowder did one on branding. I had someone do one on using Facebook groups. Unfortunately, that person left the company and everyone got pissed at her. So Janelle Summers re-recorded it for me. So now we have a video from Janelle Summers. If you've never done the Art of Recruiting, which I know a lot of you have, if you've never done it, it is a crap ton of content, but it is all really, really good stuff. And I don't say that to pride myself. I honestly more proud of what the top coaches brought in for the bonus modules, because it was incredible. So for $99 a month, you get access to the Push Life, and then you'll also get all of the Art of Recruiting modules for free. So I will send all of that over to Megan so that she can post in the team page if she wants to, because I just got a message from my assistant saying that my link wasn't working because I changed my website today to take the Black Friday special off, and I forgot to put the new link up. So when we hop off this call, it's the first time I've been home today, I'm going to fix the link, and then you guys can go sign up. If you all go to my website right now, the link won't even work. So give me 5 minutes when we get off this call to fix my own website. But I will send Megan all of the info. Megan, I know it's like 10 o'clock your time, so I'm going to hand it back over to you. If you want to close up or throw in some questions, that's fine. Whatever you want to do, I'm good for.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Josh. I'm excited about the Push Life community. I'm joining. Guys, did you have any questions for Josh? Right when you started, you said your theme was stay pissed, and I think for Darren Hardy has a video.
No, I haven't.
I'll send it to you. I have
Yeah, send it to me.
But it's one of my favorite things he's done. I get like his Darren dailies, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like one of my, I've listened to him. He's done how many videos? I don't know, so many, like hundreds. But that's my favorite one because it really lights me up. And I forgot about it I kind of forgot about it until you said that. So I'm going to share that with the team. I'll share with you just so you can see it, but like it's exactly the same idea.
Maybe he was reading some Tom Petty too.
Possibly. Issa said that month that she did, was it Art of Recruiting, Issa? I forget which one it was that she did, but she said it was the best month that she ever had was during your group.
Way cool. That's awesome.
Any questions for Josh? You just itchy to get that link. All right. Well, thank you so much, Josh. We really appreciate your time. That was awesome.
Absolutely.
And I look forward to getting that information out to the team. But guys, if you have any questions for Josh and you want to like send them my way, they're just saying thank you.
Awesome.
But it has been an hour, so I'll say good night. Good night, team. Thanks again, Josh, and I'll see you all next week.
Night, guys.